Our movie kicks off with two ordinary fishermen out at sea, right in the middle of the deep, vast, and completely open ocean. They are sitting together on a small wooden fishing boat, completely surrounded by nothing but water for miles in every single direction. And one of them is completely set on heading to a very specific, isolated, and highly mysterious area to cast their nets. The other fisherman is clearly uneasy and tries his absolute best to warn him, telling him that there are tons of terrifying, creepy, and supernatural stories going around about this exact location. But his stubborn friend, whose name is Thomas, completely brushes it all off as a total myth, confidently claiming it's just a bunch of made-up campfire stories meant to scare people away from the absolute best fishing spots in the region. He eagerly throws the heavy net into the water, and right out of nowhere, a strange creature pops up near the surface, tries to steal some random items right off the deck of the boat, and quickly dives back down. The creature gets temporarily tangled up in the ropes, but it barely manages to escape their net as it completely vanishes into the deep blue water. Down under the surface of the water, our main character Luca shows up going about his daily routine. Terrified that his mom will find out the fish got out of their designated spot, he starts screaming in a panic and quickly rounds them all up again. He takes the fish to a safe, grass-filled feeding ground to graze peacefully. Feeling totally bored out of his mind, Luca stands on a rock and finds an old discarded alarm clock scattered on the seabed, along with a random playing card. He picks them up and inspects them both with pure curiosity and wonder. Suddenly, a massive boat passes right above him, forcing him to quickly herd the fish so they can all hide safely underneath a large rock. When his mom calls out from the distance that lunch is finally ready, he hides his new treasures, takes the fish, and heads back home to eat with his parents and grandmother. While sitting around the table, Luca asks where the boats actually come from, and his grandmother mentions successfully defeating a land monster before in her past. However, his mother instantly shuts the conversation down, screaming at her to stop, and warning Luca that dangerous curiosity gets fish caught. She firmly tells him that it is much better to never think or talk about the land. Later, while checking on his hidden stash of surface items, a mysterious figure in a full diving suit appears out of nowhere. Luca is absolutely terrified until he realizes it's actually another sea creature just like him, but in disguise. The stranger grabs the items right out of Luca's hand and runs straight to the surface. Luca chases him all the way out of the water, and the very moment they hit dry land, they instantly transform into regular humans. Shocked and completely overwhelmed by the experience, Luca realizes it is strictly forbidden to be on land, gets really upset, and immediately dives right back into the safety of the ocean. The next day, after a ton of hesitation and overthinking, Luca decides to return to the surface with the boy. The boy, whose name is Alberto, tries to teach Luca exactly how to stand up, balance, and walk around on two legs. After many failed attempts, Luca finally succeeds, and Alberto starts showing him all the amazing perks of land life, the open sky, the warm sun, and jumping around freely. He takes Luca inside his hideout tower, where Luca is completely amazed by all the details and a picture of a Vespa motorcycle hanging on the wall. Alberto calls it the absolute greatest human invention ever made, capable of taking you anywhere. They decide to build their own operational version out of random scraps and wood. Afterward, Luca returns home, promising to come back tomorrow. His mom demands to know where he was all day, but his grandmother quickly steps in and covers for him, saying she sent him to grab something. Luca heavily thanks his grandmother for saving him from the situation. The next morning, Alberto decides it's time to test out their makeshift motorcycle down a steep hill. Luca is absolutely terrified, and the bike completely breaks apart into pieces. But Alberto assures him that the entire experience was beautiful, so they plan to build a brand new, stronger one. Meanwhile, Luca's parents realize he's skipping his regular work duties, track his footprints straight to the surface, and discover his secret. Later, Alberto tells Luca that they absolutely have to test out the motorcycle together this time. They actually take off on the bike, flying straight into the sky right among the birds, before crashing directly into the water below. That night, sitting together looking up at the stars, Alberto claims they are just tiny, glowing fish protected by a giant fish he once touched. Luca reacts in total awe, telling Alberto his life is way cooler and wishing he could actually travel and visit real places instead of just dreaming about them all the time. When Luca asks about the human town, Alberto says his dad told him absolutely everything about it, making Luca wish they had a real manufactured motorcycle. After a vivid dream of touching the giant fish, Luca wakes up startled and rushes home, only for his parents to confront him with his hidden human items. As punishment for his disobedience, they decide to send him to the deepest part of the ocean floor with his creepy Uncle Ugo for 2 full seasons. Luca gets deeply upset, and when his mom threatens to make it 3 seasons, he goes completely quiet and walks away. Deeply upset, Luca runs straight to Alberto and tells him what happened. Alberto suggests running away together to the human town where his parents can't ever reach him. He points out they can see real motorcycles, might even get to own one, and will live completely free without anyone controlling them. Though terrified of the idea, Luca agrees to the plan. Arriving in Portorosso, Luca is amazed by the beautiful streets, but terrified by the statues of fish hunters everywhere. When a stray ball a kid throws accidentally hits a Vespa, its arrogant owner, Ercole, mocks their clothes and fishy smell. He tries to shove Luca into a fountain to clean him up, but a fiery girl named Giulia intervenes and stops him. They then hear the police and townspeople offering a massive reward for catching a sea monster, which Ercole proudly vows to win. Giulia mentions the Portorosso Cup competition, and Luca realizes this is their ultimate chance to win the prize money needed to buy a real Vespa. They follow Giulia and ask her if entering the race will get them a motorcycle. She tells them no, but explains that they will get prize money, which they can use to buy one. They decide to enter the race, but she warns them that they will have to defeat Ercole, whom nobody has ever managed to beat except her. She explains the race is incredibly brutal and has 3 difficult stages: swimming, riding a bike, and eating pasta, which is why they desperately need a team. They ask her to join their team, and she agrees. After seeing how completely terrible they are at training, she initially refuses to keep them on her team. But Luca begs her, explaining he's running away from a horrible fate and doesn't want to go back to his parents. Touched by his story, she agrees to the partnership. She will handle the swimming, Luca will bike, and Alberto will handle the eating stage. To get the entry fee, they meet her imposing one-armed father, who is a dedicated fish hunter. Hearing that they need to sell more fish, Luca and Alberto offer to help, using their underwater knowledge to secure a massive haul. Giulia is thrilled they finally have the fee, while Luca's parents arrive in town, blending in with the humans to search for him. At the registration, Ercole tries to intimidate Luca, but Giulia stands her ground. During swim training in the sea, Ercole's boat deliberately capsizes Giulia, and he briefly spots Alberto's tail underwater, but Luca quickly covers it up just in time before Giulia climbs back up. Meanwhile, Luca's mom is going around town splashing water on all the kids to expose her son. Luca hears her voice, panics, and seeks comfort from Giulia. Looking through her telescope, Giulia reveals that stars are actually giant burning suns, not fish. Fascinated, Luca falls in love with the universe and borrows her schoolbook, sparking a deep desire to go to school with her in Genoa. When Luca tells Alberto the truth about the stars and his school dreams, Alberto gets defensive, insisting they don't need school and only need their Vespa and freedom. Ercole corners them again, sensing they are hiding something, and threatens them to leave his town. The next day, during training, Luca spots his mom and veers off, noticing a train to Genoa. Alberto grows furious over Luca's growing bond with Giulia, leading to a bitter argument and a bike crash straight into the sea. On land, Alberto purposely reveals his true sea monster form to prove a point. Ercole's gang spots him and tries to hunt him, but Alberto escapes into the sea. Giulia, completely shocked by the truth, splashes Luca with water to confirm he is a sea monster too. Terrified for his safety, she begs him to run away immediately since her dad hunts his kind. Luca goes to Alberto's old hideout to apologize, and discovers from the marks on the wall that Alberto's dad abandoned him long ago. Alberto pushes him away, calling himself a screw-up that nobody likes. Determined to fix everything, Luca decides to enter the race completely alone to win the Vespa for Alberto. Luca wears a heavy diving suit for the swimming portion to avoid touching the water. He successfully finishes the swim and the pasta-eating phases. Moving on to the final bike race, suddenly a heavy rainstorm starts. As Luca hesitates under an awning to avoid transforming, Alberto runs toward him holding an umbrella. Ercole deliberately knocks Alberto down, causing the umbrella to fall and exposing his monster form to the terrified crowd. Alberto gets trapped in a net, but Luca bravely rides straight into the rain, transforms, and rescues him on the bike. Ercole chases them down aggressively, but Giulia crashes her bike into Ercole's to save them. Luca and Alberto turn back to help Giulia rather than cross the finish line. The townspeople surround them, and Ercole demands their execution. However, Giulia's dad steps forward, shielding them from the crowd, and proudly declares Luca and Alberto the official winners since their bike crossed the line. The town cheers. Ercole is humiliated, and Luca's parents finally embrace him. The town officially learns to accept the sea monsters and welcomes them into the community. With the prize money, they finally buy their dream Vespa. However, Alberto surprises Luca with a life-changing gift. He's sold the Vespa to buy Luca a train ticket to Genoa so he can attend school with Giulia. After an emotional goodbye and a huge hug, Luca boards the train, finally leaving his old life behind to completely pursue his education, step out into the massive world, and achieve the grand dream he has been wanting for a very long time. And with that, our movie ends. Hope you liked the recap. If you reached the end, don't forget to leave a like on the video and write us a nice comment as you always do. And for those watching us for the first time, subscribe to the channel to see all the upcoming recaps. See you in the next movie. Peace.